Uncle Tom. That's when some black people called me after I told the uncomfortable truth.
I just watched Kaizen's video and we're going to break it down below.
Didn't invent slavery. Well, I've been reading the book. And you know what's ironic? Uncle Tom is the hero.
No, they called you Uncle Tom because you are what we call a white apologist, okay? You are apologizing for the horrors of slavery. And most of us no longer want to look at slavery as something that's holding us back. However, it's one of those issues that don't you think it's fair that we should never forget and always remember?
Cabin was published in 1852 by Harriet Beecher Stowe. Stowe wrote it after the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, which legally required citizens to help capture freed slaves, was passed. The book had a clear anti-slavery message and depicted the evils of slavery.
The clear message is you are a cosplaying, black-faced, white apologist. I never thought I would agree with the Tariq Nasheed crew on the term tether, but you are the definition of it. And you are actually proving their point regarding black immigrants and why we shouldn't talk about certain things as black immigrants, and why, personally, I think you shouldn't talk about certain things as a black immigrant from Africa. We're going to get to that.
The book had a clear anti-slavery message and depicted the evils of slavery, and it was a viral hit. It sold over 300,000 copies in its first year. It was the best-selling novel of the 19th century and second only to the Bible. Frederick Douglass and Booker T. Washington praised the book as one of the best things that happened for the cause of African American people.
You're over here and you're praising the novel by Harriet Beecher Stowe. However, I read same novel and I read some of the things, and the stereotypes that she has in that book, in particular to black women, in particular to the black young girl, is stereotypical at best. It showed her as weak. It showed her as incompetent. It showed her as uneducated, and it was the worst stereotypes. Furthermore, she portrays black people in the book as weak and as victims, something that I think that shouldn't be plotted or supported today. Yes, that book was the start that triggered the Civil War. However, it's not something that we should be praising and giving her so much praise for. Your tone about it is like celebratory for this person that was a white racist
was a religious
herself.
man who maintained his morality despite injustice. He was a martyr who was tortured to death for refusing to betray two women who escaped. He was the epitome of nonviolent resistance, a Christ-like figure who refused to hate his white slave masters even though they hated him, because he knew that hatred hurts both the hater and the hated. He was not a coward. He was not a traitor. He was a hero. So how did Uncle Tom get twisted from hero to villain? Propaganda by white supremacists.
Do you want to know the reason why she wrote that book? She wrote that book because she said she said that slavery corrupted the souls of white tea people. She said that the only way for the white tea race to stay on top was to end slavery. That is the real history of that author and that book.
Years later, black leaders took that bastardized image and used it against their own. Malcolm X called Martin Luther King and Uncle Tom for refusing to choose violence. Look, I'm not a victim here. I don't like name calling for people who look like me, but if I wanted to stop, I can just put down the mic. But I do want to reflect this to those saying it. When you call me an Uncle Tom, you are using the slurs of your forefathers' oppressors. You're using the exact words that racists use to divide. And I see this insult used every time a black person in America has the bravery to stand up and say, no, I refuse to view black people as victims.
You mentioned people who look like you. Again, I go back to you are cosplaying in black-faced. You and your family immigrated here from Africa, the same continent, the same people that sold my ancestors. Even though I'm not foundationally Black American, I am foundationally Jamaican American, and my family was sold into slavery and they endured slavery. Thank God, not for as long as they did in America, but nevertheless, certain things I don't think you should comment on, Kaizen. I think you should get out the way, step aside. That's the best thing you can do, and focus on your little clear conversations, but stay away from this topic, which tells me that Black Americans are very close to their reparations. And I applaud them. If I didn't, I'd shut my mouth and I'd stay out the way, because that's the respectful thing to do. As my family were welcomed in by Black Americans, welcomed in as they immigrated here. But you continue to pew-poo on Black culture, you continue to pew-pew on Black society here in America, when your family literally, God, I can't believe I'm going to use this term, fled here from Africa. If Black culture sucks so much, I think you should go back and go be with other Black-faced people you like in Africa. I mean, that's pretty much what you're saying. And again, the core point of your video was to be a white apologist. And again, I saw at the end, the core point is for you to promote your newsletter, for you to promote your platform, all while you step on the necks of Black Americans. Shame on you, Kaizen. Do better.